Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. Could this common-looking coin sitting in your pocket change be worth a fortune? Could it really be worth thousands, maybe even millions of dollars? Let's find out. First, let's set the stage. The year was 1964. The United States Mint was pumping out nickels like never before. In fact, over 1.7 billion Jefferson nickels were produced in 1964 alone. That makes it the highest mintage year for nickels in U.S. history. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark, struck the majority of these nickels. So when we talk about the 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickel, we're generally referring to those made in Philadelphia. At first glance, these coins seem extremely common. But as always in the world of coins, the real story is in the details. So, if there are over a billion of them, why are some 1964 nickels valuable? Well, it all comes down to rarity and condition, special die varieties, and full steps designation on the Monticello building on the reverse. Let me explain. Most nickels from this era were not well struck. The dies wore out quickly, and sharp detail was often lost, especially on the Monticello steps. But when a coin does have full steps, meaning you can see all 5 or 6 steps at the base of the building clearly, it becomes significantly more valuable. Collectors pay a premium for these sharply struck coins. Now, what exactly are full steps? If you flip over your 1964 nickel and look at the Monticello building on the back, the base of the building has a staircase. Most coins from this period show a blur or partial steps, but on a full steps coin, each step is crisp and separated. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC will certify a nickel as having full steps if it meets this high standard. And that small detail can increase a coin's value dramatically. Now here's where things get really interesting. Certain rare varieties of the 1964 Jefferson nickel have been discovered with die errors or double dies, where parts of the design are doubled due to a minting mistake. There's also the mysterious 1964 Special Strike or SMS Jefferson nickels. These coins were struck with extra care and attention, possibly as test strikes or part of a special uncirculated set that was never officially released. Only a handful are known to exist. They exhibit sharper details, satiny surfaces, and no visible mint marks. Some believe these were part of experimental minting processes, possibly related to the transition years ahead. One of these SMS nickels sold at auction for over $30,000. Let's talk numbers. A standard circulated 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickel is worth just 5 cents in your pocket. But a 1964 nickel with full steps, graded MS66 or MS67 by PCGS or NGC, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For example, in recent years, a 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickel with full steps and a high grade sold for over $10,000. That's right, a single nickel, worth 10 grand, simply because of sharp detail and pristine preservation. Even more shocking, if you happen to own one of the 1964 SMS nickels, you could be sitting on a coin worth over $40,000 or more depending on its condition. Some coin experts and collectors speculate that as few as a dozen of these SMS examples exist, and if a new one surfaces, the market value could climb into the 6-figure or even $1 million range under the right circumstances. So what should you look for in your pocket change or old coin collection? Start by checking the date. 1964 is the key. Then flip the coin and inspect the Monticello steps. If you see all 5 or 6 steps clearly, that's your first clue you might have something special. Next, look at the overall condition. Is it shiny, free of scratches or dings, with strong details? It could be uncirculated, and if you notice anything strange like doubling, sharp strike quality, or a satiny surface unlike regular coins, you might be holding a rare variety, or even one of the elusive SMS coins. If you think you've got a valuable 1964 nickel, the next step is professional grading. Send your coin to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate it, assign a grade, and let you know if it qualifies as a full steps coin or has other premium features. Graded coins are much easier to sell at auction or through dealers and can fetch top dollar. The 1964 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel is a fascinating coin. Most are worth face value. But a few, those struck with precision, preserved in perfect condition, or bearing rare characteristics, can be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even more. So check your change. Dig through your old coin jars. Look through those inherited coin collections, because hiding in plain sight, there just might be a tiny 5-cent piece that could change your life. 1985 with a tiny letter P on them have stunned collectors and experts alike. One of them has even been valued in the millions. Now, before you toss that change aside, let's take a deeper look at what makes the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel so special and how to tell if the one in your hand is the $1 million version. First, let's talk basics. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia, which is why you'll see a small letter P right above Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. Over 1.6 billion of these were produced. That's right. Billion with a B. So how can something so common suddenly become rare and valuable? It all comes down to mistakes, or what collectors call minting errors. These are the kind of things the US Mint never intended to release. But when they do, they become treasure. One of the most sought-after versions of this coin is known as a full-step variety. You see, the steps at the base of Monticello on the back of the coin are supposed to be clearly defined. But due to worn-out dies and rushed production, many nickels lost that detail. So when a coin shows 5 or even 6 full steps with razor-sharp clarity, collectors go wild. And prices skyrocket. Now here's where it gets even crazier. In 2021, a 1985 P. Jefferson nickel with full steps, nearly perfect condition, and a rare die clash error was estimated at over $1 million. Let that sink in. A coin you could find in pocket change worth more than a Ferrari. That particular coin had such flawless strike quality and rare characteristics that it shook the numismatic community. And there are likely more out there. So what exactly should you look for first? Check the condition. Coins that have barely been circulated are your best bet. If it still has a glossy surface and minimal wear, you're on the right track. Next, flip it over. Take a good look at the steps beneath Monticello. Count them. Can you see 5 or 6 complete, sharp lines with no major breaks? That's what collectors refer to as full steps, and it dramatically increases the coin's value. But there's more. Some of the most valuable versions also show doubling. This is when the design appears to be stamped twice, usually seen on the lettering or Jefferson's profile. If you spot a clear doubling effect, you might be holding an extremely rare variety called a double die. Also look out for die cracks, off-center strikes, or anything unusual about the mint mark. Some rare 1985 P nickels have a misaligned or repunched mint mark. These tiny details can mean the difference between 5 cents and 5 figures. Or more. Now you might be asking, who's actually buying these coins? The market for error coins and rare varieties is booming. Online auctions, coin shows, private collectors. There are people willing to pay top dollar for the right coin in the right condition. Some graded full steps examples from 1985 have already sold for over $10,000. And that's just for coins in near perfect condition with no major errors. Throw in a rare die clash, a double die, or a repunched mint mark, and the value skyrockets. If you think you've found one of these, your next step is to get it graded. Major grading services like PCGS or NGC can officially evaluate the coin. Once it's certified, you'll have a clear idea of its market value. And you'll be able to sell it with confidence to serious buyers. So don't underestimate the power of pocket change. The next time you're handed a nickel or dig one out from under the couch cushion, take a closer look. That ordinary 1985 P. Jefferson nickel might be the extraordinary coin that changes your life. 1989 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. You may think it is just another ordinary coin, but what if I told you that some of these nickels have been sold for thousands and even over $1 million due to a combination of rare errors, condition, and demand? So stick around, because by the end of this video you might be rushing to check your pocket change. Let's start with the basics. The 1989 Jefferson nickel was Minted in Philadelphia, which means it carries the letter P just above Monticello on the reverse side. This year alone, over 600 million nickels were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, so at first glance it sounds like this coin is nothing special, but here is where things get interesting. Not all 1989 nickels are created equal. There are a few rare versions of this coin that have stunned collectors and even made headlines in the numismatic world. So what makes certain 1989p nickels worth a fortune? First, it comes down to condition. If your 1989p nickel is in perfect, uncirculated condition, known as mint state 67 or higher, it can sell for hundreds to thousands of dollars. These coins are often graded by companies like PCGS or NGC, and when a coin gets a near perfect grade, it becomes incredibly valuable due to rarity. But condition alone isn't the only thing driving the price sky high. Next, we need to talk about mint errors. This is where the real money comes in. Some of the most valuable 1989p nickels have stunning minting errors that were never supposed to leave the mint. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and even missing elements of the design. In some rare cases, collectors have discovered a 1989p nickel with a full step designation. That means the steps on Monticello are fully struck and visible, a very rare occurrence in this year. Coins with full steps and a grade of MS 67 or higher can sell for more than $10,000, and that's not even the highest. There are a few coins out there that have combined errors like a double die and off center strike along with pristine condition, and here is where we hit the $1 million mark at major auctions. Some examples of error nickels have sold for six figures, and in the most extreme and well-documented cases, close to $1 million. Now I know what you're thinking: how can I tell if I have one of these rare nickels? Here's what you should do: grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and examine your 1989p Jefferson nickel closely. Look at Monticello. Are the steps fully detailed and separated? If so, that's your first sign. Then look at the date and mint mark. Is there any doubling or unusual shifts? Does the coin seem off-center or unusually thick or thin in certain areas? If you spot anything odd, do not spend that coin. Instead, put it aside and consider sending it in for professional grading, because it might be your golden ticket. Now let's go back a bit in time. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel design by Felix Schlag. The Monticello design stayed relatively consistent for decades, and the coin remained a staple of American change. By 1989, the nickel wasn't considered a collector's item by most people, but that's what makes these era coins even more valuable, because they were overlooked. Millions of people handled them and spent them without realizing the treasure they held. It wasn't until collectors started finding these anomalies that the true worth of the 1989p nickel began to shine. Let's look at some real auction results. 1989p Jefferson nickel graded MS 67 with full steps sold for over $4,000 at a major coin auction. Another example with a dramatic off-center error combined with a repunched mint mark went for over $12,000. And then there's the legend of a coin so rare it became the centerpiece of a millionaire's collection. This coin had multiple errors and was in near perfect condition with provenance from a known collector. It reportedly sold in a private sale for just under $1 million. These stories are not fiction, they are real, and they are happening to people who take the time to check their change. So next time you see a nickel from 1989 with AP mint mark, don't toss it in a jar or spend it without a second thought. Examine it. You never know, that 5-cent coin could be your shot at a fortune. And even if you don't find the $1 million version, there are still many out there worth hundreds or even thousands. The best part, they're still in circulation, still being spent every day, and still waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you're going to check your 1989 nickels right after this. And don't forget to share this with someone who might have a fortune hiding in their change. 1992 D. Jefferson nickel. Yep, you heard that right. This ordinary-looking 5-cent coin could be worth a small fortune. We're talking tens of thousands, possibly even more, under the right circumstances. So stick around, because you're about to find out how a coin minted in Denver in 1992, something most people wouldn't give a second glance, could end up changing your life. Now, before we get into the potential $1 million value, let's break down exactly what this coin is. The Jefferson nickel has been in production since 1938. It features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or front, and his famous home Monticello on the reverse. The 1992 version follows the standard design used from 1938 until the redesign in 2004. The 1992 D simply means this coin was minted at the Denver Mint. The D Mint mark can be found on the obverse, to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint produced over 360 million of these nickels that year, so it's not exactly rare at first glance. In fact, in circulated condition, most 1992 D nickels are only worth face value, 5 cents. So why the hype? Why are people saying it could be worth $1 million? It all comes down to condition, strike errors, and die varieties. Let's start with condition. If you have a 1992 D Jefferson nickel in pristine, untouched condition, what collectors call mint state, then the value increases dramatically. Coins graded MS66 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are scarce. One 1992 D Jefferson nickel in MS67 condition sold for over $1,000 at auction. That's right, a 5-cent coin sold for more than $1,000 just because of its condition. But here's where it gets really interesting: era coins and rare die varieties. There are some extremely rare examples of the 1992 D that have dramatic minting errors. We're talking double dies, off-center strikes, and die clashes. These kinds of errors can multiply the coin's value many times over. For example, if you find a double die of verse, where Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions look slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process, collectors will pay big money. And I'm not talking hundreds. I'm talking thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Now here's the kicker. The real reason people are starting to check their old nickels is because of the possibility that an ultra-rare transitional error or unreported variety could exist, just like it has with Lincoln cents and other coins from the 1990s. In other words, it hasn't even been discovered yet, but all it takes is one sharp-eyed collector finding that one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. Just imagine being the person who finds that unique 1992 D nickel with a previously unknown reverse design, or a double denomination strike, like a nickel struck over a penny, or even a misaligned die with dramatic doubling. If it were to be authenticated and verified by experts, the value could skyrocket. And in today's market, rare era coins have fetched 6 figures. One coin even sold for over $1.7 million. That's no exaggeration. So yes, under the right conditions, a unique and dramatic error, verified by top grading services, and brought to auction in front of serious collectors, your 1992 D Jefferson nickel could be worth up to $1 million. Now, let's talk about what you should look for. First, pull out your old coins. Get yourself a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, at least 10x magnification. Look closely at the date and mint mark. Check the reverse, the Monticello building, for any doubling in the text like Monticello, or 5 cents. Examine the coin for full steps on Monticello. That's a grading term for how well defined the steps appear on the back. The more complete the steps, the higher the grade and value. A 1992 D Jefferson nickel with full steps in mint state is a prize in itself. Also, look for any weirdness, off-center designs, rotated dies, strange shapes, thickness, or signs that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. And finally, get it graded. If you think you've found something unusual, send it to PCGS or NGC. Don't clean the coin. Just send it in as is. A certified coin is what gets the big bucks at auction. So to sum it up, most 1992 D nickels are worth a few cents, maybe a couple bucks in mint state. But with the right error or unique characteristic, that humble 5-cent coin could be the key to an unexpected fortune. Have you found a weird-looking nickel in your collection? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want more coin tips, history, and value breakdowns. Every week we dig into hidden gems that could be sitting in your pocket change. 1996 D Jefferson nickel with the Monticello reverse. That's right. It's time to take a closer look at one of the most underrated coins in circulation and see why some collectors are hunting this one like it's buried treasure. Now, before you toss that handful of change back into the vending machine, you might want to take a second look. Because believe it or not, some 1990-60 Jefferson nickels have been selling for thousands of dollars. And under the right conditions, experts say that a perfect specimen or one with rare errors could fetch well into the six-figure range, or even more. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938. In 1996, the Denver Mint struck over 800 million of these coins. That's a lot. So the big question is, why would one be worth anything more than face value? The answer lies in a combination of factors: condition, mint errors, and collector demand. Let's break those down. First up, condition. Like all coins, the better the condition, the more valuable it is. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC rate coins on a 70-point scale. A Jefferson nickel from 1990-60 graded MS-67 or higher is considered extremely rare. MS means mint state, meaning it hasn't been in circulation and retains its original luster. While an average 1990-60 nickel in circulation might be worth just 5 cents, a high-grade example, especially one graded MS-68, can sell for thousands. In fact, one such coin graded MS-68 full steps sold at auction for over $10,000. Now, what are full steps? Good question. On the Monticello building on the reverse side of the Jefferson nickel, there are steps leading up to the front door. When a coin is struck well, all 5 or 6 steps show clearly and without interruption. But weak strikes or wear can make those steps blurry or incomplete. So when collectors talk about a nickel with full steps, they're talking about a superior strike, and that can mean big money. Collectors are willing to pay a serious premium for coins that show complete, undamaged detail in the steps. Next, mint errors. This is where things get even more interesting. Some of the most valuable 1990-60 nickels are those that contain rare minting mistakes. We're talking off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or even transitional errors. These mistakes are rare, but when they happen, they turn a common coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error, prices can soar into the 5-figure range or higher. Combine a rare error with a high grade and you're looking at a potential 6-figure coin. Let's talk real numbers. In recent years, auction houses and online marketplaces like Heritage Auctions and eBay have seen strong demand for high-quality 1990-60 nickels. One pristine example with full steps and top grading sold for over $10,000. Another with a double die error fetched close to $20,000. And collectors speculate that the right combination, say, a mint state 68 with full steps and a unique mint error, could push that coin well over the $100,000 mark. Some believe a truly exceptional specimen could someday top $1 million. It hasn't happened yet, but the potential is there. So how do you know if you've got one? Start by looking at your change. Seriously. You'd be surprised how many valuable coins slip through the cracks and end up in cash drawers and couch cushions. Look for a 1996 nickel with a small D mint mark on the right side of the Monticello building. Flip the coin under a good light and check the steps. Are they sharp? Do you see 5 or 6 full steps? If so, it might be worth sending it in for grading. Got a coin that looks unusual? Maybe a double image on Jefferson's face or Monticello? Could be a double die. Maybe the edge is curved or the strike is off-center. Those are possible errors that could multiply the value. Here's the bottom line. While most 1990-60 Jefferson nickels are worth only face value, a small number have the potential to be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands, depending on their condition and rarity. If you're lucky enough to find one with a rare error or in nearly flawless mint state condition, you could be holding on to a modern coin worth a small fortune. So next time you're digging through a coin jar or cashing out a soda machine, take a moment to check your nickels. Because you never know, that ordinary-looking 1990-60 might just be your $1 million coin. 1998 D mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. It might look ordinary to most people, but what if I told you this coin could be worth thousands, and in some cases has been appraised in the millions? Yes, you heard that right. This is not just any nickel. The 1998 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark struck at the Denver Mint is part of an iconic American coin series that has been in circulation since 1940. 38. It features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home Monticello on the reverse. Millions were minted, but a rare few hold secrets that can change everything. So what makes this nickel so special? Why are collectors and investors alike scrambling to find these coins? Let us start with the basics. In 1998, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels. Most were struck at the Philadelphia Mint marked with AP and the Denver Mint marked with AD. The D Mint mark is located on the right side of the coin just below the date. If you have a 1998 Jefferson nickel with AD on it, you already have a potential collectible. But it does not stop there. Now here is the twist. Some of these coins were struck with errors, minting anomalies that make them incredibly rare and valuable. Among the most sought-after varieties are the full steps nickels. These are coins where the steps of Monticello on the reverse are completely and sharply struck. If all 6 steps are visible with no weak spots or smudging, the coin is classified as full steps or FS, and collectors go crazy over them. Finding a 1998 D full steps Jefferson nickel in mint state condition can be like striking gold. Let us talk numbers. A typical 1998 D Jefferson nickel in circulated condition might only fetch 5 to 10 cents. That is not surprising considering it is still a modern coin and made with copper and nickel. However, in higher grades the value skyrockets. For example, if you have a 1998 D nickel graded MS65 full steps by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, that coin could be worth anywhere from $50 to $100, but it gets better. In MS67 full steps condition the coin becomes much rarer, and the price can jump to $500 or even $1,000. And if you have one graded MS68 full steps, well, now you are talking about a unicorn in the coin collecting world. Only a few of these exist, and when they show up at auctions they command serious money. In fact, in some private sales and major auctions, examples of the 1998 D Jefferson nickel with full steps and flawless mint condition have sold for prices over $5,000 and more. And then there are the legends. There are reports and documented cases of certain ultra-high-grade specimens or unique error coins from the 1998 D series that were appraised at over $1 million. These are coins with dramatic double dies, extremely rare planchet errors, or perfectly preserved full steps coins graded at the highest possible levels known to exist. These are not your everyday nickels, they are museum-quality rarities. One such example is rumored to have an off-center strike and a die clash, both visible without magnification, all while maintaining nearly perfect surfaces, graded MS68 or higher, and those are the kinds of coins that send shockwaves through the numismatic world. So what should you be looking for? First, check your loose change and old coin jars. Look for the date 1998, and then see if there is a D mint mark. If it is there, you are off to a good start. Next, flip it over and examine the steps on Monticello. Are they sharp? Are they complete? Count the lines. If you can see all 6 steps with no interruptions, you may have something special. Then examine the coin under a light. Check for any errors, doubling off center strikes, repunched mint marks, unusual luster, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. If you think you have a promising candidate, your next step is to get it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Do not clean the coin, do not try to polish it, just send it in as is. Let the experts determine its grade and authenticity. Now let us talk about market trends. The Jefferson nickel market has seen a surge in recent years as more collectors enter the hobby and rare coin values continue to climb. With inflation and economic uncertainty, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming more appealing, and the 1998 D Jefferson nickel, especially with full steps, is benefiting from this trend. The demand is rising and supply is not increasing because these coins are not being made anymore. The best examples are getting locked away in private collections and institutional holdings, making them even scarcer over time. So what does this all mean for you? It means you could be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. It means that an ordinary-looking coin from the late 90s could be a key to unlocking big money or becoming a prized piece in a world-class collection. The 1998 D Monticello Jefferson nickel may not look flashy at first glance, but behind that familiar face of Jefferson lies a world of history, rarity, and untapped potential. So check your change, search your drawers, look through your old coin rolls, and who knows, maybe you have $1 million nickel just waiting to be discovered. 2000p Monticello Jefferson nickel. This coin might look ordinary at first glance, but believe me, it has sparked the interest of collectors and treasure hunters all across the country. Why? Because there's a rare version of it that could be worth a fortune, yes, potentially even $1 million. So sit back, relax, And let's explore everything you need to know about this fascinating coin. Now, before we get into the high values and the market heat around this nickel, let's understand what it is. The 2000p Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia and features the familiar image of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. On the reverse is the iconic Monticello building, Jefferson's historic home. At first glance, it seems like a regular 5-cent coin. But here's where it gets interesting. Over 860 million of these were minted in 2000 at the Philadelphia Mint. That makes it a very common coin, or so it would seem. Most of these are circulating and worn down, worth 5 cents, maybe a few bucks if in great condition. So why the buzz? Why are some of these showing up at auctions for thousands or even whispers of million-dollar value? It all comes down to rarity and condition. Some examples of the 2000p Jefferson nickel have been found in unbelievably high grades, and a select few display rare striking errors or dramatic die varieties that have sent collectors into a frenzy. These coins are incredibly rare because they combine two powerful qualities: a mistake from the mint and near-perfect preservation. So let's talk condition. The grading scale ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin. Most nickels from circulation grade under 60. But if you somehow have a 2000p Jefferson nickel graded at MS68 or MS69, and especially one with full steps, you're sitting on a small fortune. Full steps refer to the staircase at the base of Monticello. If all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and not worn down or mushy, your coin might be something special. Collectors pay big for full steps nickels, especially when they are well centered, sharply struck, and free of contact marks. Now let's talk numbers. In the past few years, a 2000p Jefferson nickel with full steps in MS67 or MS68 has sold at auction for several $1,000s. In 2021, one example fetched nearly $4,000. That's for a coin you might pull from circulation. Imagine finding one in a roll from the bank or hidden in a drawer. But the million-dollar question, and I mean that literally, is this: are any of these nickels truly worth 7 figures? Technically, no 2000p Jefferson nickel has sold for $1 million yet. But here's where things get exciting. If a never-before-seen mint error or a dramatic new die variety were to surface, say, a double die with full steps in pristine MS70 condition, still undiscovered, it could set the numismatic world on fire. The first of its kind, especially certified and authenticated by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC, could potentially fetch hundreds of thousands or even reach the $1 million club. This isn't just speculation. We've seen modern coins with exceptional rarity bring in record-breaking prices. A 1969 S. Lincoln cent with a dramatic double die obverse once sold for over $100,000. The 1943 copper penny, another mistake from the mint, is now valued in the millions. So it's not unrealistic to think a unique or unknown error on a 2000p Jefferson nickel, especially with immaculate condition and strong collector demand, could eventually hit that mark. So what should you look for? First, check the coin's condition. Look for clean fields, minimal scratches, and sharp details. Then, flip it over and look at the steps on Monticello. If you see full steps, that's a big green flag. Next, look for anything unusual: doubling in the letters or numbers, missing design elements, strange edges, off-center strikes, anything out of the ordinary. If it looks odd, it might be something rare. Your best bet if you find a promising coin? Don't clean it. Don't scratch it. Store it safely in a protective holder and get it graded by a reputable service. The grading will not only tell you its exact condition but also drastically increase its market value and credibility with collectors. So to wrap it all up, while the average 2000p Jefferson nickel is worth just 5 cents, a rare version in mint state with full steps or a dramatic error could be worth thousands, and potentially, just potentially, $1 million if it turns out to be a true one-of-a-kind. The treasure is out there, folks. It could be in your change, in a roll from the bank, or in an old coin jar that's been sitting in your closet for years. So start looking. Examine every nickel. Because the next time you hear that clink of coins in your hand, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. 2006 Monticello Jefferson nickel. At first glance, this 5-cent piece might not seem like anything special. You might even have a few lying around in your car, your kitchen drawer, or your piggy bank. But here's the shocking truth: under the right conditions, this little coin can be worth thousands, tens of thousands, and in some extreme cases, even over $1 million. That's right. A 5-cent coin worth more than a Lamborghini. So what makes this coin so valuable? Why are collectors going crazy for it? And how can you tell if you have the rare one sitting right under your nose? Let's find out. In 2006, the United States Mint released the Monticello Jefferson nickel as part of the return to the original design series. After the Westward Journey series from 2004 to 2005, the Mint brought back the classic Monticello building on the reverse side. This was the home of Thomas Jefferson, located in Charlottesville, Virginia. The obverse, or front of the coin, features a sharp, forward-facing portrait of Jefferson, a design introduced in 2006 by sculptor Jamie Franke. It was meant to offer a more modern, lifelike depiction of the third President of the United States. These nickels were struck in massive quantities, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small letter P. Over 787 million were produced that year. So why on earth would one of them be worth anything more than 5 cents? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and errors. Among those nearly 800 million nickels, a tiny number were struck with minting errors. These are mistakes that happen during the coin production process. And in the world of coin collecting, mint errors can mean massive money. Let me give you a few examples of error types that can make your 2006 Jefferson nickel extremely valuable. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts between strikes, causing a doubling of the image or the text. If you see doubling in Jefferson's eye, the word Liberty, or any of the lettering, you could be looking at a double die nickel. Depending on the visibility and rarity of the error, collectors have paid thousands for these. Sometimes, the coin isn't properly aligned when it's struck, causing the design to be off-center. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable it is, especially if the date is still visible. Off-center 2006 nickels have sold for hundreds, and in some extreme mint error cases, thousands of dollars. Now this is where things get really crazy. Imagine a nickel accidentally struck on a blank meant for a penny or even a foreign coin. These are known as wrong planchet errors, and they're extremely rare. If your 2006 nickel feels too light, sounds different, or looks odd in color, you could be holding one of these rare mistakes. And yes, they have sold for tens of thousands at auction. When looking at the reverse side, the Monticello building, pay close attention to the steps. If you can see all 5 or 6 steps clearly and without wear, that's known as full steps. Collectors pay a premium for full steps nickels because they show a high-quality strike. A perfect condition 2006 nickel with full steps in a top grading condition has sold for thousands. Here's where we get into millionaire territory. Sometimes, coins are struck as tests, called pattern coins or prototypes, and they somehow escape the mint and enter circulation. These coins often have subtle design differences and can be almost impossible to spot without expert tools. But if authenticated, they can sell for 6 or even 7 figures. That's right. Over $1 million. So, how can you tell if your 2006 nickel is one of these rare and valuable coins? First, grab a magnifying glass or a coin loop and examine both sides under good lighting. Look for doubling, especially on Jefferson's face and lettering. Check the steps of Monticello on the reverse. Can you see every step clearly? Compare the coin's weight and sound to a normal nickel. If it feels light, sounds tinny, or looks odd, it could be on the wrong planchet. Finally, if you see something really unusual, like missing elements, off-center designs, or strange textures, it might be worth sending it into a professional coin grading service. Services like PCGS and NGC can authenticate, grade, and encapsulate your coin. Coins graded as MS67 or higher with rare features are where the big money lives. These companies have confirmed and documented sales of rare 2006 nickels for thousands, and in the case of an ultra-rare prototype or error coin, much more. To give you an idea, Here are a few real-world examples. A 2006 P. Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 with full steps sold for over $4,000. A an off-center error version sold for nearly $7,000, and a rumored prototype test strike, which remains one of the rarest known examples, has been estimated by experts at over $1 million due to its extreme rarity and unique minting characteristics. So the next time you're digging through your change, don't just glance over your nickels. Take a second. Flip them over. Use a flashlight. You might be holding a piece of American history worth more than you ever imagined. The 2006 P. Jefferson nickel is more than just a coin. For the lucky few, it's a life-changing discovery.